Hello everybody, it is your Essential Companion Destiny here, and today we're going to do another Let's Cry About. I wanted to talk about the latest 3 episodes of RWBY, episode 4, 5, and 6. So getting right into it, episode 4 was titled Family, and obviously that was mostly about Yang and her sort of coming to terms with her lost arm, I guess. And then there was also a bit about Crow and Raven, which I think was a really good spot to finally fit Raven into Volume 4. Overall, it was an okay episode. I think it was mostly just supposed to be a look at Yang and how she's doing, and also be a little bit more informative. Well, maybe not informative, but it's sort of just giving us more of a glance into what's going on in the background. Because we obviously know Salem's trying to take over the world, but we finally get to see maybe how and why she's doing it a little more through Raven. Overall, my biggest complaint in that episode is Yang putting on the robot arm. If you saw my last episode, I talked about I really didn't want her to do that. I wanted her to be someone who could fight with only one arm. I wanted her to show other people that she could be strong without it. But at the end of the episode, obviously we see that she finally puts it on, which I understand. I get why they did that, but I just kind of wish that Rooster Teeth had taken a different route with that with Yang, because I think she could be just as strong without the arm. My absolute favorite scene in that whole episode was Tai Yang mentioning, or joking, that Yang lost some brain cells along with the arm at the Battle of Beacon. And I can just honestly say I've never, excuse the meme, but I've never gone 0 to 100 so quickly, because I love Tai Yang, but the second I heard him say that joke, I was like, is this really what Tai Yang's like? Is he actually not a good person? Is he actually not a good father? But then Yang punches him and it's like, all is well and good. And I can't explain. I wanted to throw up. My heart just absolutely dropped when Tai Yang made that joke, and I didn't realize it was a joke at the time. And then we have Crow and Raven. I think the whole point of that was not only to hint at whatever this relic may be, but it also showed that Raven isn't the bad guy. I think we got a glimpse of that when she saved Yang in the past, but I think we didn't really know if she was just saving Yang because she's her daughter, or she knew her, or if she was just a good person. We didn't know, but I think her meeting with Crow finally solidified that although she might be in a gray area, it seems, I think she's still on the side of good. I mean, whoever's against Salem is basically good in this story, I would say. That's definitely solidified when both Raven and Crow say the lines what we are up against, but they seem very hesitant about it. It's sort of like in a joking, sarcastic manner. But I still stand by what I said, and I think Raven is still on the side of good. I also find it interesting that Raven mentioned the Grimm and how she didn't know they would attack or something like that. You look at Raven and you see all her Grimm attire, you think she maybe has something to do with the Grimm, maybe she controls the Grimm, but I think that line specifically was there to show that no, she doesn't control Grimm. I think she just kind of works with them, if that makes sense. So on to episode 5, and I think the title is pronounced Menagerie. I loved that episode, not only because I love Sun Wukong, but also because I really do like Blake. I've never really taken like a super hard interest in Blake and her background and everything, but I'm glad we finally got a look into it, and I'm glad we finally got a good look into the Faunus' world. Obviously, the super blatant comparison that at least I drew from what she talked about the Faunus going onto an island is it was supposed to sort of maybe draw comparisons to the Native Americans, how we kind of took their land and then we pushed them onto these reservations, just like humans pushed the Faunus onto these islands. And I just thought it was really interesting that they drew a real-life historical comparison to this show. I was also not surprised at all to learn that Blake's family is like royalty. They run the island, I guess. I guess I never really thought about her before all this, but it's really not surprising that they would make her sort of like a princess along with like Weiss. I'm also glad we got to see the White Fang event finally. It was also interesting to know that Blake's whole family seemed to be involved with the White Fang at one point, maybe, well, definitely before they became more violent. But overall, I really just like whatever it's the White Fang right now. I don't think that they're going to play nearly as an important role as they did in the first few seasons. And I think that was just kind of to remind people that the White Fang are there and they're still doing things. And I also think it was just them trying to show at the end that Adam Taurus is probably running the whole white thing, even though they say some other people are involved. I forget who. I think definitely Adam is like in charge of the white thing now, which is actually a really scary concept, and I think that's leading into a good opportunity to bring the white thing back eventually as a very big antagonist under Salem, by putting such a powerful person in charge of all of them. Episode 6 is titled Tipping Point. That's where we're brought back to RWBY, Teen Ranger, and we're introduced to this new character who I really like. I really like his design. I really like the fact that he's a faunus. I really like how, I don't know, just kind of how deranged he is. I think Roman Torchwick was obviously a little insane, but he never really reached like those Harley Quinn levels of insane like this guy does. Most interesting to me about this episode was Lyren. We get a look into his past, his family, see what he's about. And as I mentioned in the previous episode about Skari Route, I thought something weird was up with Lyren, and I think this isn't the answer. I think this is just showing, yeah, Lyren's being very weird. I don't think this was the cause of it. I don't think visiting this town, he was like worried about it or anything. I think it's just another thing to show people to be more interested in Lyren, because I think something weird is still going on with him. I don't know what, but I'm really excited to see if my theory is true. Everyone gained a lot of respect for Weiss in this episode. Like Blake, I never really thought about Weiss. It's like, yeah, she was just kind of a bitchy princess, you know, and she learned to make some friends. It was cute. But finally, she's getting a real character development that we can all clearly see. Considering she was the only person, along with Ironwood, who can clearly see that people are only just pretending to care about Beacon. You know, they're the rich snobs. They don't really get affected by any of this. Their lives aren't really changed by this, apparently. Weiss definitely just sees that that's kind of bullshit. Like, you need to help these people. There's more to it than just maybe donating some money. And I think her little lashing out at that random woman was a really good indicator that Weiss is definitely about to go through some changes. Also, shout out to Ironwood. I'm so glad we got to see him. We're only in second there. I'm so excited for when they finally do an episode involving him, rather than just showing him for 5 freaking seconds. I can't get over it. I think he looks so good. I think his character is just marvelous. I can't wait to see more Ironwood. So overall, I think these 3 episodes, episode 4, 5, and 6, are probably the most important episodes so far. They're giving us looks into characters, they're giving us looks into their lives, they're giving us more look into the story finally, and I think although it's probably presenting more questions than answers, I think that's a good thing for a show to have, because it gets your audience more interested in, you know, doing things like I'm doing now. I think I'm definitely going to start looking for more RWBY theory, I guess you would call them boards. I haven't really looked into it, but I definitely want to start getting more involved with the RWBY fandom. I do cosplay and I do these RWBY videos, but I think I haven't really reached enough people with what I've been doing, so I'm gonna try to do more. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, check out my channel, maybe leave a like, leave a comment. I would love to talk to more people about RWBY and what's going on with Lyren, what's gonna happen to Weiss, why'd they do the arm thing with Yang that I did not appreciate. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching.